You're listening to Feel Good Astrology with Louisa Munson. To request a personal reading with Louisa, go to www.feelgoodastrology.com.
Hi, it's Louisa Munson, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about Uranus going into Taurus. Sorry, the sun and everything seems to be changing quite a bit at the minute, so forgive me. Trying an outdoor broadcast where I've got a little bit of fresh air and can consider things a little bit more. Don't know about you, but I've just been feeling a bit tense. Anyone else been feeling like that? Well, there's lots going on at the moment, and I'm going to try and erase my frown lines just for a second and calm down again in nature. Uranus in Taurus. Okay, what is Uranus about? What is Taurus about? And let's get an idea as to what this might mean for us. Uranus is a slow-moving planet that takes 84 years to go around and orbit from the start of Aries and goes all the way through all the star signs until it gets back to Aries. It takes 84 years. So it's a real generational kind of planet. It spends about just over 7 years in every sign before moving on to the next sign. And every sign it moves into, it creates a rush for freedom and independence, and it invigorates the star sign and the activities of the star sign with new technologies, new thoughts, new philosophies. Uranus is a real game changer and allows us to change gear quite quickly, because Uranus is about finding freedom in situations. And as such, Uranus can be seen as a little bit irresponsible, to some people, because, sorry, I've got hair in my mouth. In the Uranian energies act to find freedom and to express independent thinking, it can sometimes make situations seem rash or spontaneous and irresponsible. So, there are some bad sides to Uranus in some respects. If you're more of a conventional type, you might feel very threatened by Uranus and the Uranian energies when they come into your life, because it represents new things. It represents youthful vigor, innocence, and it creates change that gives us resilience. Uranus is an energy that affects the Earth. Most huge sort of planetary extreme weather fronts have a very strong Uranus thing, like when volcanoes explode and earthquakes and things. Uranus is the kind of energy that makes those shifts. And in our own lives, when we're going through Uranian transit, so when Uranus meets one of our personal planets, like the Sun or the Moon or Mars, or any one of the important points on your birth chart, then big things happen. Changes in the way we live, changes in the way we see ourselves and our attachments. It's really, really to do with attachments, because Uranus makes us let go of our attachments. Uranus encourages us to find freedom. And for most people, they experience freedom from getting rid of the things that imprison them. So there's some big themes with Uranus. It's a game-changing planet. Now, Taurus, what's that about? Taurus is primarily the star sign associated with resources, finances, and possessions. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so it's definitely acquisitive. It acquires and values its possessions. It likes to have nice things around it. Taurus, like the bull, it doesn't want to move. When Taurus is fixed on something, it wants to dig its heels in or charge at anything that might attack. And it stands its ground. And if you think of an oak tree, I think that gives a really good description of Taurian energy. It's about getting really, really strong roots so that you can grow strong as a person. So we've got Uranian energy of change, of innovation, of invention, of freedom, and of rebelliousness going into the sign that represents money, resources, and our survival, how rooted we are in life. And you can see that things are going to get shaken up quite a bit. Now, as with most planetary changes, what happens, in particular like the slow planets like Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, we feel the energies of the sign change a good 5-6 months before they occur. Uranus has been in Aries for about 7 years, and during that time its need for independence has blended perfectly with the Aries me first kind of energy. Aries is about standing strong, going to war if you need to, but defending your territory, and it's about defending your independence. So during that time, we've seen a very huge rise in activism and people standing strong for their territories, and standing strong for the right to be right. People have not really wanted to back down, and they've used the Uranus energy to find freedom and the Aries energy of wanting to go to war. And it's no surprise that activism has come up and made people really concerned with things. Something I haven't mentioned about Uranus already is that Uranus has no care really for status symbols. Uranus, it's not full of airs and graces. Uranus energy is about humanitarianism. It's neither really male nor female. It's quite androgynous, and likewise it doesn't really care if it's rich or poor. It just needs to be free. And so when you've got this kind of levelling, flattening energy that rips apart the structures, going into the areas of banking, finance, resources, home ownership, how we look after our possessions, insurance and everything, then things are going to get shaken up. And, as I said, in the last 6 months, which is when, sorry, I've got to move again, you start feeling the energies of the sign change a good 6 months before it occurs. Well, what's been happening in the last 6 months is there's been loads of chatter about cryptocurrency and how dangerous it is, or how exciting it is, or what a new opportunity is. There's been loads of information about crowdfunding and different ways of working. I'm possibly sat in the wrong place. A huge pine cone just dropped just meters away from me. If that had landed on my noggin, that would have been a huge surprise. Anyway, I'll take my chances. So things are going to get shaken up. Finances are one of the things that are going to get shaken up. There's lots of different organisations cropping up to help people transfer cash and manage their cash more effectively, and they're making a challenge for the bank's supremacy. And I can't imagine that the banks are going to take that very. I don't think they're going to be very excited at the prospect that they might lose the grip on finances, because that's how they control everything. And also the governments aren't going to back down. They're going to help the banks, I suspect. So there's going to be some almighty battle going on between all these new, young, innocent, enterprising ideas that help to create freedom and equality for humanity against the organisations that want to control it. It's a pretty big thing. So we've got that going on. We've got the same with the energy companies. The energy companies want to manage the resources that people need to survive. It's a Taurian kind of concern. How do we keep warm? How do we manage to have safe drinking water? How do we manage to keep a roof over our heads? All those kinds of things. Anyone that's involved in companies that provide us with our utilities, and there are going to be new options for us. Uranus helps us to find new technological solutions. Uranus is a futuristic energy. It represents things that we can't even conceive of at this moment in time. So that's a huge thing. Expect during this 7-year stretch, we need to be ready for new technologies and expect the unexpected. It's not going to be straightforward. Now, everyone, there's a lot of news about Uranus going into Taurus, and people are saying, oh, it's going to shake everything up, and that is what I'm saying effectively. But I don't think I'm going to move again. I don't think it's going to hit home quite as drastically as lots of people are predicting, because one of the things with the outer planets is they move very slowly and they appear to do a forward-backward stance. So they move forwards, and Uranus is moving forward into Taurus in 2 days' time on the 15th of May, and appears to move forwards, gets as far as 2 degrees Taurus in August, and then starts to backtrack. It goes retrograde, so it appears to go backwards from our position within the solar system, and then it appears to be backtracking all the way back through to January before it starts to go forward again. During that time, it's actually going to go back into Aries on, I think, November the 6th. So what's really going to happen, it's a little bit like applying for a job. You don't go to your job interview and then start your job straight away. What you do is you go, you make your first impression, show people what you might be capable of, and then there's a little cooling off period, where people say, I think I like that person. I can consider how that energy might work in this business. And then, when you take the job on, you go back in, and that's when all the changes start to occur as your energy blends naturally with that of the company. And that's what's going to happen with Uranus. Uranus is moving into Taurus, and so we're going to get the first impression of Uranus and Taurus in 2018, this cycle of it, and we're going to experience it, the rush of it, up until August, and then it's going to just seem to peter off as we adapt to it. And then it will really pick up in earnest from March the 6th next year, when Uranus goes back into Taurus, and then by I think mid-April it's properly past the point where it went retrograde. So it really will appear to be in Taurus properly once and for all. So I don't think things are going to change irrevocably anytime just yet. But I think the changes are really going to come in from 2019. That said, I also want to point out that there is another huge outer planetary conjunction forming at the moment, and most astrologers are aware of this, ahead of time, because, we're quite curious people and we look at the planets. Pluto's in Capricorn, and it's been there for quite some time. Saturn joined Pluto in Capricorn in December last year, and it's slowly moving towards Pluto. It won't reach Pluto properly until the beginning of 2020. Now, in between now and 2020, Jupiter will be moving through Sagittarius and then into Capricorn, and so we have a conjunction brewing in Capricorn for 2020, and it's going to be quite a generational, quite a huge impact on the world. Pluto is about totalitarianism and transformation. It's a really useful planetary energy to have and to make use of. But in Capricorn, the sign of business and governance and authority and achieving control, then it's quite worrying. It spells out dictatorships. It spells out huge conglomerations of corporates and governments together controlling humanity. And as Saturn, the planet to do with learning harsh lessons, to do with authority, paternalism, and austerity and restrictions and rules and regulations, moving into the sign of the corporates and the governments and linking up with Pluto, we're going to have a very strong bank government conglomerate that are going to really, really fight back to all the innovation and juice and promise that Uranus in Taurus is indicating. So I don't think I think the Uranus and Taurus energy, it's going to be exciting in 2018. So I've got to get my notes because I don't want to litter these pristine pine forests. Right, got it. So we've got, the start of it to give us a taster in this year in 2018. Then in 2019, the inventions are really going to come forward. People are going to start to talk about things like cryptocurrency, crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, working for the people rather than the man, being freelance, not even being particularly fixed in where we live. You know, people can be nomadic workers and stuff. There's going to be so much more of this coming up as we realise that we can resource ourselves and survive in a completely new context to how it's been before. And that's all going to really become common parlance by 2019. I'm sure of that. We get a taster of it this year. 2019 is going to come in. 2020, up until that point, the governments and everything are really starting to fight back and trying to work out loopholes and ways of controlling. And they're already controlling the media anyway. So there's going to be lots of stuff going on like that. And it really won't be until that really clears that the Uranian energy will really start to make the changes that we hope to see. So you're looking 2021, 2022, and beyond that, as some of those planets like Saturn and Jupiter move into Aquarius. So this is kind of like a long-term view, and the Uranian energy going to Taurus, which is the thing that started me off, it is going to shake things up. It is going to bring in some new stuff, but it's not like it's going to change our lives just overnight. But we'll be feeling it. We know it's in the post.
You've been listening to Feel Good Astrology with Louisa Munson, and this recording has been made possible by all you lovely supporters at Patreon. To request a personal reading with Louisa, go to www.feelgoodastrology.com.